Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Good morning. Could we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to Lorain County Board of Commissioners meeting Wednesday, September 5th, 2018. Our dog warden has our dog today.
You're slightly lighter than I was.
Good morning. This is kennel number 17, female, approximately 3 to 4 years old. She was found in Lorain, and she's available on Saturday. We have 13 dogs in the kennels.
She's
Come and
looking at
see
you like,
us.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thank you to everybody who got those dogs out for us
Yeah.
Yeah,
last week.
thanks everybody. Appreciate that.
Yeah, 13 dogs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. A lot of spay and neuters going on.
Madam Clerk?
We have a proclamation proclaiming September Suicide Prevention Month.
Okay, I will read the proclamation. In the matter of proclaiming September as National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month, with September 9th through 15th, 2018 designated as Suicide Prevention Week. Whereas suicide is a serious public health issue that can have lasting harmful effects on individuals and families. And whereas nationally, suicide rates have increased 30% and more in certain areas since 1999, with Ohio and Lorain County following the national trend. And whereas Lorain County's 24/7 mental health crisis hotline, which is 1-800-888-6161, receives almost 14,000 calls per year responding to requests for crisis intervention, for advice on how to help a loved one with mental illness or suicidal thoughts, and for peer-to-peer support for those living with a mental illness. And whereas Lorain County Suicide Prevention Coalition, in partnership with the Lorain County Board of Mental Health, actively pursues opportunities to educate the public on mental illness, warning signs, and promotes prevention and resilience for all ages. Whereas the best way to minimize risk of suicide is to learn about risk factors, recognize warning signs and take them seriously, and know how to respond to possibly save a life. And whereas Lorain County provides hundreds of hours of training like mental health first aid or suicide prevention classes to community members, clinical providers, first responders, and law enforcement, including providing trauma-informed policing training last year for 183 officers, and recently has increased the numbers of available educational opportunities. And whereas effective prevention strategies are needed to promote awareness of suicide while also promoting prevention, resilience, and a commitment to social change. And whereas every person in Lorain County can play a role in preventing suicide, and every person deserves a chance to succeed and achieve his or her purpose. Now therefore, we, the Lorain County Board of Commissioners, do hereby recognize September 2018 as Suicide Prevention Awareness Month throughout Lorain County and call upon our residents to observe this month and this week of September 9th through the 15th designated as Suicide Prevention Week by learning what actions they can take to keep people around them alive and well. Witnesses are signature this 5th day of September, Ted Kalo, Matt Lundy, and Lori Kokoski. And Kathleen Kern is here from the mental health. If you want to come up, I'll bring this to you, and if you'd like to say a few words.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I wanted to start by thanking you for the resolution. As was noted, September is National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, with September 9th through the 15th designated as Suicide Prevention Week. Lorain County is joining other communities around the United States to address this public health issue through education. We are all in this together. Unfortunately, since 1999, the suicide rate has risen in almost every state, with Ohio and Lorain County following the national trend. In our county, most of the people who die by suicide are not connected with mental health care. We know that if a person can get the help that they need, their mental illness of depression can be treated, their suicidal distress can be resolved, and they can learn to cope or to reach out for assistance should these feelings reemerge. We envision a Lorain County wherein any person is confident and knowledgeable about how to help someone who is showing signs of emotional distress, and wherein every person can connect their friend or loved one to the help that they need. The signs of suicide are sometimes very difficult to see, which is why we have increased our community education efforts to help people recognize those near hidden signs of suicidal thinking and to learn how to intervene safely and confidently. During September, we offer 3 free open to the public classes on suicide prevention basics, as well as an 8-hour mental health first aid certification class, which is already fully booked. Any Lorain County group can request a basics training to be brought to their church, their workplace, or their civic group. I would like to thank the commissioners this morning for providing this opportunity to invite the public to learn more about how to support friends and loved ones who are struggling with mental illness. I think Claire just shared with you information about upcoming community education opportunities, and I extend the invitation to any Lorain County resident to participate and learn how to help others. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Tough job you've got out there.
Thanks.
Madam Clerk?
Under Resolutions Number 1, Investments,
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Appropriations,
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Transfers,
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
No advances, no repayments, requisitions,
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Travel,
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Bills,
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Mr. Cordes?
Thank you, Commissioner Kalo. I do have a few things I wish to discuss with the board in executive session. Potential hires, maybe within the Commissioner's IT, support staff, possibly the collection center. Also want to discuss bargaining unit issues with regard to our now ongoing negotiations with United Steelworkers of America, and also potential purchase of real estate. All of those subjects available under the Sunshine Act for executive session discussion. So I'd ask at the conclusion of our regular board meeting, we go into executive session to discuss those matters that I've outlined. Thank you.
Thank you.
Approve and waive the reading of the minutes of August 22nd.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Adjust the salaries of Avon Lake Municipal Court employees, which reflects the county's 2/5 share. Mark Hagendorn, which is the bailiff, it should be resigned August 31st. And Timothy Guru is the new bailiff effective September 4th at a rate bi-weekly of $503.64.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Dedicate the display of the 1976 Lorain County Courthouse watercolor drawing by Davis Gray in the memory of Carl Sneezak.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, we had it, the donation was of the original courthouse. It was done by Davis Gray, and we've had it matted and framed, and we plan on hanging it in the new Justice Center. Got that, Hal? Good job. Again,
Beautiful job.
yeah, thank you again for the donation.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing it, Bill.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under the airport, accept the grant offer and enter into an agreement with FAA for the rehab taxiway A, taxiway C, east and west, and rehab taxiway D construction. Department of Transportation Office of Aviation is contributing 5% of the cost, leaving the remaining 5% as local match of $55,279.89. Total construction cost is $1,105,597.95.
So moved.
Second.
You
Discussion.
can't beat 5% match money.
Well, you know, let's really just discuss the airport for a second.
Sure.
Because we get a lot of criticism about the
Yes, we
airport.
do.
Whether you're a supporter or not a supporter, and I'm going to state this until the day I can't state it up here, I don't have any choice but to support that airport. Anytime you take federal monies, the linkage to those federal monies is 20 years unless they release you earlier. It's a one-sided relationship. We've looked at various options with the airport and have not come up with any. We've battled the FAA, and I mean that in a friendly way, but
Right.
we've gone and we've tried to rework how the airport operates, and they will not give us any leeway. And they continue to offer us carrot after carrot of additional funding to support the not the operations, pardon me, to support the infrastructure at the airport. They do not give us operating money per se. The work has to be done regardless of whether we take their funding or not. They will come in and they inspect the taxiways, they inspect the runways, they grade everything. And when you get to a certain grading, they'll tell you need to make these maintenance upgrades, repairs, et cetera. And if you don't, then they'll just they'll bludgeon you to death to get it done. And usually that's in a legal manner. Other communities have faced similar situations. They consider our airport a reliever airport to Hopkins. Now, a lot of people don't realize that, but we are listed as a reliever airport to Hopkins. I said it twice, say it 3 times. Reliever airport to Hopkins. They're not going to let us close. Now, I don't know what we're relieving. I've asked that. The runway is not huge, but in their mind, they can clear out small private, small commercial traffic if something should happen and they need to be landing the big boys at a rapid pace. So it's to clear the airspace around the airport more than anything else. We have similar designation on Burke Lakefront and over in Lake County. The only airport that actually went private was the All Nations several years ago. I haven't looked at their condition lately, but they still have a lot of years without getting any assistance that they need to keep everything up to par out there. So getting $1 million for $55,000, makes some sense to do the work that we're required to do, regardless of whether we want to stay committed to the airport. The other thing is that the money's coming out of the airport accounts, so it won't require any additional general fund money.
I'm selling corn.
We've been growing corn, any place we can grow corn. And also we ran out.
Should have applied to grow other things out there.
Oh, Commissioner
He's been
Kalo.
asking forever.
He'll get it one day.
One day, yeah.
I did not apply for a pot farm at the airport, sorry. I don't think the it's still a federal offense to work with that. I don't think with federal monies and in a federal, because we're co-owners with the federal government, I don't think they would be too appreciative of that. Not to mention that we have other ancillary services out there that would find that distressing also. But the airport's going to continue to be a problem. Maybe one day it'll find a stronger niche in the community. I really don't know. There's not a lot of money to expand the runway, and that's really what's needed to make it a very viable option, is to expand the runway. Plans were there 25 years ago, and they're still around, but the millions and millions that it would take have not been made available. So you're in this quicksand. You're not sinking very quickly, but you're certainly not able to pull yourself out from the suction of that. So we're doing okay, but that's the airport story, and every time we
Well-
spend money in the airport, we're gonna tell the airport story because,
Let's talk about how much money when we first got here and how much we were giving the airport, now we're giving them 50,000.
the airport used to have a director, an assistant director, a marketing director, a communications director, sundry maintenance people, and I think they had a business manager too at one time.
And a maintenance guy.
And we were providing, we had a couple maintenance people, I had maintenance supervisor and a couple maintenance folks. We were providing between $650,000 and $800,000 a year, plus additional grant money when grants became available to the airport. And that wasn't for the FBO, it was strictly for the staff at the airport to run this airport. After we disbanded the airport board, I believe in 2007, six, we entered into a private relationship to operate the airport. By that time, the FBO that the county paid $1.8 million for sometime in the late 90s, they had given it over to the airport authority. They sold everything but the hinges holding the doors on the place, and there was no...
Three-legged stools, too.
They sold the three-legged stools. That had salvage value. So there was nothing really left. They just gutted the place. The buildings were not worth the money that was paid for them in the late 90s. But we're operating an FBO and under contract with a private operator, so we have FBO services and fuel services, and of course the airport maintenance has been handled in a private operating agreement. In fact, I am working...
I didn't want to interrupt, but just a reminder that part of the airport maintenance is something that may touch on pending litigation. I don't want to get too deep into what is going on with the private
Sure.
contract and the maintenance agreements right now.
Right.
That's right, yeah.
Well, in fact, they're under negotiation right now, so...
Well, yeah.
Right.
There's also a lawsuit, so.
Right. Well, not a lawsuit for the work at the airport. Let me make that
Yeah.
clear. I don't want to leave that hanging out there either.
No,
okay?
not a lawsuit involving the operations at
Right,
the airport.
right, okay.
Involving, that may touch on the agreement with the third-party administrator of the airport.
But of course, we reduced all of those costs down, and we do about $50,000 from the general fund a year. And there really has not been a genuine change in the services and the level of operation capability out there.
So when people see that there's like all this money coming out, it's because we are making money on selling corn and
Well, we
farming.
also make money. I'll give you an example. We have a really fantastic relationship with Bendix. They do a lot of testing of their braking systems on heavy vehicles out there. It's really hard to find an area of a huge stretch. So we allow the taxiways to be used when they're doing that. We raise several thousands of dollars in a partnership with them. We do we work with the college on their criminal justice things out there. They do some driving things and so forth. We also have relationships where they're doing defensive driving. Other people are doing that. So we lease out space when we can, work with the community when we can. But it's challenging to find a really true fit. At one time, the airport housed in the '60s. Understand I wasn't here. The Air National Guard, and that's where the FBO was built for. And that relationship continued. I heard into the early '80s. And that was the main support for the airport. If you go to Mansfield, their airport's bigger. They have a bigger runway. But it was much like Lorain County at one time, and they kept their Air National Guard unit. When it expanded, when they closed some of the smaller ones, like in Lorain, they expanded the runway in Mansfield. But Mansfield also enjoys a distinct advantage because they're right in the heart of their industrial nest, where the businesses are very much located around the perimeter of the airport. So they generally have a lot more traffic coming and going, a lot more need. Than we do. The location of the airport, I'm sure, was selected because it was out in the area that didn't really affect many people, but it also made it very challenging for commerce way out there. And at least anybody forget that the airport was, after the National Guard was there and gave up their position there, the airport was a trifecta in Lorain County, where the city of Elyria, the city of Lorain, and the county came together, and they were all going to support the operations of the airport. That lasted about a decade, and both cities pulled out and left the county holding the airport. The reason the county got the airport is they were the signatory with the FAA on the funding. So they got stuck holding the bag for everything when other folks decided they wanted out of the relationship.
See, this is why I keep telling him, he needs to write the book. So, because all this stuff is, I imagine we could all look it up, but for you to be able to just, tell us the
I-
history, it's very important.
Well, I think it's important for the public, and also when you were going to ask the question about the funding, when people look at the funding at the airport, they'll see the operation budget this year is about $1.6, $1.7 million. Not only are the operations of the airport captured in that budget, but also the grant monies that come in, and we've had two large grants this year. This was money we did not believe we were going to get. We applied for it. Somebody else, as we've talked about projects before, somebody else didn't get their project done, or wasn't ready, or abandoned their project, and this funding became available, and we were able to swoop in because we were shovel-ready on this project. And we usually have 2 or 3 things that we have in the queue that are ready to go should funding make itself known to us. So the budget out there is going to look quite substantial this year, but it's only $50,000 of local money to leverage all those other dollars. That's the airport chat. We'll probably have it 10 more times, and we'll probably get a whole bunch of letters saying why we're running that stupid airport for our friends. Only let people in there to fly airplanes. I don't have an airplane. I don't have any friends out there. But I do have planes, maybe trains, and a lot of automobiles. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Community Development award various contracts for homeowners to receive grant assistance from CHIP Program Year 16 private rehab activities for home rehab assistance, which includes a contingency for any unforeseen change orders, these being the most responsive complying with specifications. Handyman Greenwich in the amount of $32,028 for Billy and Delila Blackburn at 16135 Whitehead Road, LaGrange. Handyman Greenwich in the amount of $29,905 for Barbara Turney at 33803 Electric Boulevard, Avon Lake. And Green Home Solutions Cleveland in the amount not to exceed $50,000 for Donnaville at 5423 Barkwood Drive, Sheffield Lake. But I really want to say that should be Sheffield Village.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Sheriff, receive and file annual reports submitted by the Lorain County Sheriff's Office of all fines and costs collected by the Sheriff's Office for the year next preceding September 1st, 2018, in the amount of $320,543.59 in accordance with the ORC 311.16.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Public comment?
Anyone wishing to address the board this morning?
Tony.
Oh, hey, Tony. Good morning, Mr. Dimacchia, President of Lorain City School Board. Good.
Good morning. I came here today
You
on
have to
behalf
introduce yourself even though we know you.
Sorry, Tony Dimacchia.
Let everybody know Tony, I told you it was you.
Good to see you guys.
You too.
But I want to take the opportunity, number one, come here and personally thank the commissioners and Mr. Cordes and Lorain County Jobs and Family Services for giving Boys and Girls Clubs of Lorain County the opportunity to operate a clothing program for many needy children throughout Lorain County. Last year, we operated a program and we served just over 600 kids with clothes. And this year, we were fortunate enough to serve over 1,000 kids throughout Lorain County with clothing. And again, it is a program that is extremely necessary to many of the families and children we serve that don't have the resources to get those clothing. So again, you know, it's a fantastic program, and Jobs and Family Services have been brilliant throughout this whole process. And you know, again, I want to come here and personally thank you guys for that opportunity, and also invite you to, we have the first distribution this Friday from 3 to 7 at our Dessich Family Campus. We're located at 4111 Pearl Avenue, and we will be starting that distribution. And you know, I think you know, it'd be great to see all of you guys there. I know you guys have a lot of work and business to attend to, especially during the weekends. But again, something like this, I think, you know, as I sit here and listen to, you know, a lot of the business that you guys do, and you guys sometimes take some heat from the community for the tough decisions that you have to make. But the people of Lorain County should know what you're doing for the children, and I think it'd be a great opportunity for you guys, and we'd love to see you. And again, I just wanted to come here and thank you guys so very much for the opportunity, because you know, these families and children definitely need it. So thank you so much.
I'd love to, man. I'm gonna be out of town Friday. I would love to, but you Mike Conover, Sandy, do just a great job over there.
Yeah.
You really do. So thank you, Tony.
Yeah, thank
Take care
you.
of them kids.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address the board this morning under public comment? Mr. Cordez?
Thank you, Commissioner Kalo. I saw we had a robust agenda again. Usually this time of year, we It'll pick up again right around November.
Right.
But this usually seems to be our slow time of the year with agenda items. Commissioner Kokoski, you want to talk about our meeting a little bit? Maybe
no, I'll let you go.
bait it a little bit?
You're good at wrapping it all up in a bow.
Well, I don't know about a bow, maybe a burlap sack, I don't know. We had some, the commissioner and I, we attended a meeting at Mercy last week with Ed Oley and several of his key staff people, really great people, had a good conversation. They were also, I don't know if it was Skyped or video conference, whatever they used. It was pretty cool. Down to Cincinnati with some of their folks out of Cincinnati.
Dr. Graham, I think it was.
Very energetic and dynamic presence. And I think we were out there, what, about an hour and a half to 2 hours? And we ended the conversation like this. Mercy will perform detox services within this community that presently are not provided. If we're able to put into place a continuum of care so that when they provide these services and the people have someplace to go that is on a continuum, and also that we operate a type of triage, central focal point for intake and evaluation.
Recovery one.
Exactly.
Close, pretty close. They're not doing that now. They won't do it if the rest of the services are not cobbled together in some kind of collaborative effort so that there can be a bit of a holistic approach to how we deal with folks that are addicted and their need to have additional services so they don't relapse immediately upon release. This was good for us. We thought that we would have to do the services there in Golden Acres with regard to detox. It's unlikely we'll have to with Mercy's in the game. That frees up additional space to expand the relationship with some of the partners that wanted to add additional pieces to this, but we didn't feel that there was adequate ability to do that at the time. We haven't reached back to them. I want to do so later this week. So another partner's come on board. What we learned out there is that only about 20% of the drug addicted to opiate really actually need detox services, but those that need it have to have it. And that also we've been talking about the drug and opiate problem, but we still have a significant alcohol problem. Not only are addicts usually dual diagnosed with both addiction and mental health issues, they're also dual diagnosed with both alcohol and chemical dependencies. So you have to treat all of those things. You can't treat just one of them. It'd be like putting air in one of the tires on your car and having 3 flats and thinking you're going to make it somewhere. It's just unrealistic. So that's the bit of the news. I thought it was a really, really good conversation. They did make the commitment, and now we got to try to get this thing moving.
Well, not only does it free up space, it also reduces our cost of doing business there, because if we had to do the detox in Recovery 1, that means medical directors, more RNs, LPNs, and high-level staff. If they get detox at Mercy and then come to us, a whole lot less.
Well, it is. You do not need for that particular services a lot of supporting medical staff. Medical director, head RN, and so forth. I wish I could tell you that I knew a lot about all this. I don't. I'm learning as we go. I need to. There's a couple places that Dr. Graham recommended that I take a look at. I'm going to try to get there later this week or early next week to do an on-site visit and look at the clinical setting. But starting to layer the resources and leveraging is the key here. Now we're starting to leverage some of these services. The interesting part of what they told us out of Cincinnati is they're doing this in collaboration with lots of groups. It's called the community collaborative care.
Something like that, yeah.
I have it all in my notes in the office. So I want to take a look at that too and seeing how they've come under the one umbrella of an MOU. I think it's 17 organizations, 14 organizations that have come together to combat this problem down there. Their problem in the Cincy area is as significant. Some of the numbers they gave us was that since they've been doing this, they've seen in one area, and I don't want to name the area because I don't want to give them a bad reputation, but they've seen a 60% drop in overdoses, and then in the greater Cincinnati area around Claremont County and Hamilton County, they've seen about a 35 to 40% drop in overdoses because more people are accessing care and staying in that continuum of care longer. And there's more than anecdotal information out there that says the longer you can keep them on a continuum of care, the greater the success they'll have and the less chance of relapse. But conversely, when they're released, when they're catch and release, they usually relapse quite quickly. So it's one more piece of the puzzle, but there's a lot of other pieces that need to come together. And the biggest piece is going to be this levy in November. And trying to convince the community that we need to come together and battle this problem, and as a community, whether you, as we said every time we're out here, whether it's a compassionate issue, even if you don't know a family member, a friend, somebody in your neighborhood that is suffering from some of these problems. Maybe you're just compassionate for people in general. If you're not compassionate, you don't know somebody that you're compassionate towards their situation, think about it from an economic standpoint. The burden on this community, I didn't do the study, so it's not my number. I don't want anybody blaming me for the number, but the numbers we were given by the study that was done, which they paid a lot of money for, indicated that the economic downfall of this community is about $200 million. It's a number a lot of people can't wrap their head around, but when you figure out how much strain is on the justice system, on the first responders, on the lost productivity at work, accidents in the workplace, the inability to have that portion of the workforce consistently engaged in work, employers investing in folks, they just get them ready to, and they start becoming very productive in the work environment, then they're challenged with drug issues and the absenteeism rates, and they took all of this into consideration. Healthcare costs and emergency room waits, and the list goes on and on and on. I found the number to be quite staggering. So let's say, for instance, they poofed it up. So they poofed it up by 100%. So it's still 100 million. So maybe it is poofed up. I don't know. But I do know that I've talked to enough businesses and enough people in this community to know that this problem is weighing down on almost every sector in Lorain County. And let's not forget, just like the airport, we're going to continue to talk about this. We're a HIDTA community and a
drug trafficking area,
right,
and SOS, which is
we're SOS.
Surge of synthetics.
Surge of synthetics. We finally got that one down pat. Those are not designations that we're printing in the visitor's guide.
Oh.
But those aren't designations that we're geo-fencing Lorain County trying to get people to come here and having that pop up. Those are badges of
Dishonor.
right. And I'm glad the services are here because we need them. But I'm also very saddened that they're here.
That we need them.
And so we need to do what we can to hopefully one day not need those services. We're making it uncomfortable for the bad people to do business here, and that's a good thing. But we also have to provide a safety net for those folks that need some assistance to get back on track and get their life back. That's my speech for today. I yield to council. We'll be talking more on this, but I thought this was a very nice piece to come into play. And we need to have those conversations with the rest of the partners and see where that all fits now.
Well, Mercy's been a good partner in the community. I mean, especially they took on our TB for us after that at half the price.
Right. We
lowered the
in that
levy.
public-private relationship now.
Right,
It's got to be
exactly.
well over a decade. I think maybe
Right.
even longer. That's worked well for us.
Right.
And the community has, they got a little miffy with us, and they did disapprove the levy on the onset, but they came back after we reaxed and explained the relationship, and we were very successful. It's not too often that you experience a couple of failures and that people come to the table and give you and they gave us a big success. It was well over 60% on that, even that levy. Once we explained the relationship, how the costs are still about half of what they were 10, 12 years ago, And we need TB services. TB, I'm not going to go into a long conversation on that right now, but it's still a big problem. The only reason it's not a huge problem is because we have it under control through the infectious disease services and identification of these cases early on and providing the medicines that are needed, and especially these days when you have all these hugely resistant strands to traditional treatments. And they got to stay in front of that, or that's another tsunami that could wash right over you pretty quick.
Thank you.
Actually, I was talking to one of our probation officers yesterday, and she was telling me that the whole opiate drug problem that we have now hasn't even peaked yet, that it's not even going to peak until 2020. So we still have a ways to go on, battling this.
And the opiates are one battle, but the synthetics are another. Right. It's amazing that they keep creating these exotic things that become more and more dangerous and
Deadly.
They're deadly because they may not be. They always will be deadly taking them, but they don't know they're taking them, and that's the biggest problem. Right. So they take their drug in a traditional fashion that they're used to, and they're injecting with something 10 times or 100 times or 1,000 times more powerful, and that's where the overdoses are coming from. Right. And that's greatly unfortunate, and that's going to continue. There's new synthetics coming now off the East Coast that we've been hearing about. As soon as you figure one out, they'll come up with another and another and another. So, thanks.
We have probably two pieces of pending or potential litigation to talk about during executive session, but other than that, I don't know.
Jerry's not here, and you're letting us get sued.
I am 3 times. Why do you think I'm here?
The whole Mercy thing kind of happened. If you want a resource, if you're struggling or you have somebody struggling with chemical dependency, there's a podcast. It's Cover 2 Resources. His name is Greg McNeil, and actually Dr. Graham was one of the people that Greg McNeil was talking to at Mercy Cincinnati, and that's kind of how the whole conversation got started. So there's been over 200 podcasts made if you're interested in learning more about it. He's talked to everyone and anyone that you can imagine having to deal with drug addiction and alcohol drug addiction. So it's Cover 2 Resources, Greg McNeil, and like I said, 200 podcasts.
In your report?
That's my report.
Okay. I hope everyone had a wonderful and safe Labor Day. Congratulations to Lorain County Labor, another successful Labor Fest on Sunday at Black River Landing. It was a great turnout once again. A lot of the political candidates for statewide office were there and spoke. And also this Friday, Lorain County is hosting the Northeast Ohio Litter Summit. It's a partnership between Ohio Department of Transportation, Keep Ohio Beautiful, the Board of Commissioners, Lorain County Solid Waste, Cuyahoga County Solid Waste, and Sustainable Cleveland. It will be Friday morning, registrations at 8 o'clock at our train station. So if you're interested in listening or participating.
Transportation Center.
Transportation, thank you. Train station,
We
transportation.
don't have a train station here.
You're right.
Let's not go there.
Let's not go
Yeah,
there.
really.
But if you want more information, Joel Hunt, 614-466-7173 with ODOT.
And you get free continuing education credits with that.
Correct.
So.
For those people who need continuing education
Right.
credits.
Exactly,
Wonderful.
for free.
Yes,
It's free.
for free.
Yeah.
End of my report.
Board correspondence?
Move the reading be waived.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye. Motion to
Be it
go.
motion to move into executive session as outlined
We're
by
not
the
used to
county
this shit.
administrator and assistant county prosecutor.
I'll second that.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Are you going Friday?
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.